All right, so I'm from the Safer Community Unit, and my initiative is the Respect for Community initiative. So I just want the men in the room to answer, first of all, what do you do on a daily basis to stay safe? When you're out and about, when you're going to uni, when you're going to work, when you're going to friends, what do you do on a daily basis to keep yourself safe?
Carry my phone.
Carry your phone? Yep. Anyone else?
Always stay alert.
Stay alert. Okay. Typically the answer is not much. Not much. Now I just want the women to answer in the room. What do you do on a daily basis to stay safe? Not much. Okay. Yep.
Lock the doors in the car at night time if you're driving.
Yep. What else?
Keep your eyes open for check your surroundings.
Yep. Check your surroundings. Yep.
Make sure you're doing with somebody else.
Go with someone else.
Carry the keys between your fingers and walk into the car.
Yep. Anything else?
You know if anyone's around you or behind you.
Yep. Anyone else?
Let people know where you're going to be.
So, blokes, not much. even when I'm out, midnight in the city, I'm not that concerned. Women, on the other hand, daily basis, thinking about what they're doing. So right from word go, men and women, when they go out and about their daily life, think about things differently. Why do women need to think about those things?
They're more likely to get attacked.
Are they?
Probably not, but that's how it's seen.
Yep. So more vulnerable,
Yeah.
potentially, yep.
I guess society believes women are weaker than men and therefore vulnerable to their attacks.
Yep. All right, so who's more at risk of violence? Men or women? Men? Why is that? And what form of violence?
Fights.
Fights. So street violence, random violence, punch-ons, gang violence, those sorts of things. Yep, that's correct. So men are more vulnerable in that regard to that form of violence. So what about male violence against females? Where's a female more at risk of physical or sexual violence? On the street or in the home? In the home. Yep, there's a real focus on street violence. I don't know if people remember Jilmar, so late 2012, massive amount of public attention, media reports, those sorts of things. Front page, we know what happened, we know the perpetrator's name, we followed it, he pled guilty, he got a sentence. About 5 days later, a woman was murdered in front of her children in her family home by her husband. Page 5. Far more commonplace, that kind of violence, but it doesn't get the attention. So my role within the Safer Community Unit is to go out there and have conversations. So one of the realities that we need to look at and realise is that since the age of 15, 1 in 3 women will experience physical violence from a partner or an ex-partner. So we often think that it's not an issue and it doesn't affect us. If you have a look around this room, let's say there's 30 women, 10 will experience at some point in their life physical violence. 1 in 5 will experience sexual violence. So 36 women. Physical, 10, if you use the number of 30. So the reality is, it is an issue. It's something we say it's someone else's problem, or it would never happen to me, or I don't know. But if you think about how many women are in your life, male or female, if you think about that, 1 in 3 will have experienced physical violence at the hands of a partner or ex-partner, 1 in 5. So it is a real issue. Now, you're thinking, well, what can I do about it? What are the issues? What can we do about it? What do people think? What can we as a group do? If we see physical violence, what would we do? And you're at uni.
Break it up.
break it up, yeah, so you could intervene. What are the risks associated with that though?
You might be involved with the fight.
Yep. Yep. Call security, definitely. Yep. It's definitely a recommendation if you do see that at uni is to call security. What else? So, pretty much with physical, we can intervene. We can call security, we can actually try and break it up and separate the two parties, or we could call the police. What about comments, jokes, innuendo that occurs? What do we normally do then? Yeah, so we could talk to the people. Do we though? Yeah. How comfortable you are, how well you know the people, those sorts of things. Definitely.
Sorry, Dad.
These. That's right. So as I said, from the Safe Community Unit, and my role is to make Monash as safe, as respectful and as inclusive as we possibly can. And the reason why I was talking about the actual physical instances compared to comments is because attitudes lead to behaviours. We know that. If you think about family violence, a man doesn't just start hitting his partner, his wife, his girlfriend. It starts with an attitude, a sense of entitlement, a belief that he's allowed to exert his authority, his power through physical. It's an attitude, and that attitude then leads to a behaviour. So, Monash is about everyone having a safe, productive and respectful university experience, and that is essentially what all non-academic services are about. If you think about Monash Sport, if you think about Team Monash, if you think about Monash Residential Services, if you think about health and wellbeing services, if you think about the different leadership and scholarship programs that are available out there, all of the services that Monash offer are about creating safe, productive and respectful community. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to make your experience as positive as possible. So Monash is not about an individual or individual group only having fun, but about every individual or every individual group having fun. If your fun is causing others to not have fun, then that's not okay. And I think that's sort of, what we need to remember in everything that we do. We need to be mindful of how our fun impacts upon other people. So by all means, go out there, have the time of your life. These, they say it, it's the best time, best years of your life. And it's probably true. Having not lived all my years, I couldn't say, but I know I certainly had a great time when I was at university in the varying capacities that I studied, but everything else that it added to my life. But you need to be mindful of how your fun impacts upon others. So Monash doesn't tolerate any form of violence, and there's a whole heap of different ones that are listed. And you may be beginning to think, yeah, but is this an issue? Is it really an issue? Well, the stats that I was telling you before tell you that it is an issue. But then you begin to ask the question, what can I do about it? So I do very quickly just want to look at what sexual consent is, because in your roles, you're going to be welcoming people to Monash Uni, there's going to be functions, and you'll also attend outside of this role various functions. So it's important that you're mindful, and when people are talking about it, you need to be very clear around what consent is. So there's age limits, and people need to consent. So is sexual assault, if you agree, then change your mind, or someone has sex with you or touches you sexually when you're asleep, unconscious, or so affected by alcohol or drugs, you're not able to agree. Just want to show you a clip because unfortunately this is sometimes men's perspective of women, in particular when they dress in a certain way.
You're terrible. You're so bad. Shut up. You were silly.
Check out this skirt.
Don't.
She's asking for it.
Can I help? Yeah, thanks. I'm going out tonight and I want to get raped. I need a skirt that will encourage a guy to have sex with me against my will.
The blue one. Definitely the blue.
As if.
Nobody asks to be raped. Ever.
What do people think about that?
Most people can take care of themselves most of the time. If you see,
What do people think? Is it a true reflection of how men behave when they're out? Or some men? Yep. Have you witnessed that kind of, ogling by men when you've been out and about?
Well, not really, but like, I hang out with a lot of guys and sometimes they go, oh, like, get off kind of thing. I'm like, no, not cool.
Yep. So what kind of language do they use? Is it as polite as that?
Well, they're kind of more polite than other guys my age, but they still have that in mind.
Yep. What other people think? Is that how men think when they're
Well,
out?
I don't think you can generalise that all men do, but there's definitely a large amount of young men when you're out. Oh, look at that girl, she's got a short dress on, carry on like that. So, but you can't, I wouldn't generalise that all men are like that.
No, definitely. Yep.
I probably wouldn't even go so far as to say that men do it, even if girls do it. There's sort of this slut shaming that if a girl's wearing something short, then it's considered to be something.
Yep.
But at the same time, I have a few girlfriends who go out and they want to hook up with the guys and they'll wear a really short dress. So, not saying that anyone, the way you dress, you should be raped, but some people do dress to keep other people.
Yeah, and certainly there are attitudes of she was asking to be raped. I mean, why was she walking down the alleyway at 3 in the morning on her own, drunk? There's unfortunately some of that mentality that goes on, and you see it. You see it played out in the media. And those sorts of things, unfortunately, sometimes. But, as you said, no one asks to get raped. No one deserves to be raped. And the moment we try and legitimise it by the way someone acts or by the way what someone wears, we're actually going down a very, very slippery slope to victim blaming and saying that somehow it's the victim's fault. But yeah, you're right, some people do this. Sorry. So the reason I'm talking to you guys is because you're leaders within the community. By accepting the roles that you accept within the community, in this role in particular, you're actually saying that I'm a leader. I have the ability to influence and I have the ability to make a difference. You will be in your roles often the first person that new students will see or have contact with from a student community perspective. So you have an amazing ability to shape the expectations and the norms that we want to create at Monash University. And I'll go back to that respectful, inclusive community that we want to feel, everyone to feel. And you have the ability to be an active bystander. Has anyone ever heard what happens to a woman? Happens to a woman with 2 black eyes? I've got that totally wrong.
What do you ask?
Pardon?
What do you ask?
Oh. No, that's right. Sorry. What do you say to a woman with 2 black eyes? Nothing. She's already been told twice. Has anyone ever heard that joke? Yeah. I play in a lot of I've spent a lot of time in male-dominated sporting clubs. And unfortunately, that kind of joke, that kind of boisterous behaviour between males is commonplace. And what it does is it begins to set cultural norms and norms within a sporting club or within a team environment to say that that's all right, to laugh at those sorts of things. And it often takes just one person, a very courageous person, to actually step up and say, no, that's not all right, that's not how I actually view women. It's not funny. We've done a really good job within the sporting area to stamp out racism. We've still got a long way to go, don't get me wrong. Led by the AFL. We've got a long way to go, but we're really making some inroads there. We've seen it happen within sexuality and homophobia, and that's beginning to really take shape. But unfortunately, and it's only very recently, we've begun to stamp out sexism. You know, that language where it's all right to, or it's no longer all right to make comments about another player's mother, or to make comments, oh, we're going to go out and we're going to rape the opposition. Those sorts of things were beginning to change. So you guys, as community leaders, need to begin to stamp out some of this language. Begin to actually say it's not all right to use that terminology. And it is difficult. I know when I was 18, you know, in a sporting club, and my captain, someone I wanted to be, I admired and I wanted to be respected by them, they made me an inappropriate comment. The dispower I felt, my inability to actually stand up and have a voice and say, hang on a sec, I don't believe in it, that's not funny. Because if you go back, 1 in 3 women experience physical assault, 1 in 5 sexual assault at some time, and we're laughing at that. We're saying that's all right. That's not all right. That's not on. So we need to be able to empower ourselves and empower our friends around us that that's not all right.
What the hell's this?
What's what, Dad? It's a dress.
Look, I know it's a bloody dress. What the hell's it for? You think I'm just going to let you out of here wearing that?
What are you, idiot? You're wrapping it.
I'm an idiot, am I?
What's got into you?
You think I don't know what you're up to?
What do you mean? Stop! What are you doing?
Look, who's going to be there?
Who? I don't know what you mean. Please, just let go.
Stupid little lame hat! Tell us! Who is it? Who are you getting all dressed up for? Who the hell are you trying to impress? You're making me stupid. You're just making me. Now tell me, or you know what's coming next.
Thought you could use this.
Right, come here.
When we do nothing, we're actually assisting something. By remaining silent, by not speaking up, we're actually in some ways condoning that kind of behaviour, saying that it's all right, we tolerate that. It matters to a whole range of people. It matters to the bystander, yourself, because you don't do anything, then you're kind of saying, yeah, that's all right. It matters to the victim, because they feel helpless and that no one cares and no one's going to intervene. So what can I do about it? And it matters to the perpetrator as well, because you're then just saying, yeah, that's all right, that's acceptable, that's what society allows me to do, and no one's going to stand up and make a scene. So I'll just continue to do it, it's an entitlement. So how do you become an active bystander? Strategies in the moment, you know, if it's that physical stuff, you can call the police. You can name it. You know, we often talk about, you know, when a crime occurs in the middle of broad daylight, just yell and scream, make a scene, draw attention to it. One person does that, the whole people will gather around. There's a case that was in the 1960s, and it was a woman in America who was murdered. In the street, there was over 100 witnesses. No one called the police. The beating went on for 10 minutes. He then left the scene, the perpetrator, and came back and stabbed her repetitively. And still no one had called the police. People just stood by and watched, thinking someone else would do it. And that's where the bystander approach really took on its emphasis and came from, is that notion that someone needs to intervene. And if one person intervenes, a whole heap of people will intervene. So if you hear someone making an inappropriate comment, whether it's racism, homophobia, sexism, whatever it is, stand up, make your voice be heard, say something, and say, we don't tolerate that, that's not appropriate, that's not acceptable. Because by accepting a role as a leader within your community, that's what you're actually doing. You're actually saying, I'm going to be that person who steps up. I'm going to be the person that says something.
Almost 1 in 5 women in Australia has experienced sexual assault since the age of 15.
Hey, mate.
But there is something you can do about it. Lead by example. Safely challenge the behaviour. Swear an oath never to commit, excuse, or remain silent about violence against women. And remember, don't be afraid to stand up. Thousands of good men have got your back.
So, as I said before, inappropriate comments and jokes. Inappropriate comments and jokes normalise inappropriate beliefs, values and attitudes. And attitudes lead to behaviours. You speak to a lot of people that have never had a conversation around sexism, around racism, around homophobia. So they come with these preconceived values. It's about having a conversation with them. I've seen that video that I showed you right at the start around what kind of Asian are you, where are you from? I've seen that play out. I live at MRS, the deputy college head, and I've seen a country kid come in and ask an Asian girl, but where are you from? I've seen it play out. Now, we could go in there and we could say, you know, that's wrong, that's inappropriate, that's racism, or we can have a conversation and educate people. Because there's a lot of men out there that don't actually realise that sexist comments are inappropriate, because that's what they've been brought up on. It's our role to educate them and actually say, you know, that's quite offensive. That whole concept of, oh, it's so gay. Who's heard that before? Oh, it's just gay, when people are talking about it being crap. Yeah, I don't think they actually mean it's homosexual. I think they mean it's crap. But by saying crap, it's them saying that homosexual people are crap. So we need to think about the language we use, the jokes we make, the comments we make. And some people think that we've become too politically correct. And maybe there's some merit to that argument. But at the same time, if the language is going to offend someone, then why would we use it? We don't want to offend people. Most people don't want to offend people. So just be mindful.
Every week, at least one Australian woman dies from domestic violence.
It happens all the time, doesn't it? I just give her a backhand, usually shuts her up.
Hey, mate.
But there is something you can do about it. Safely challenge the behaviour. Talk to your mates about the issue. Swear an oath never to commit, excuse, or remain silent about violence against women. And remember, don't be afraid to stand up. Thousands of good men have got your back.
Anyone think who was joking there? The bloke who made just give her a backhand? Yep, so you're right, he might have been. Yep. A lot of people think that, you know, when men say things like that, or people say those kind of things, they're joking. My question is, how do you know? How do you know if someone's joking? If we know the stats, 1 in 3 since the age of 15 will experience physical violence. There's got to be some perpetrators out there. Maybe not one in 3 men in perpetrators, because they might be repeat offenders. But surely there's got to be a lot of perpetrators of family violence that think it's all right. So how do we know people are joking? And the answer is, we don't know. They might just be testing the water. They might be seeing, well, where do you sit on this issue? And so that's why I say we've got to challenge everything, even if it is a joke, because you don't know if they're joking. And as you said, it's not all right. And what else do we know? We know that attitudes and values lead to behaviours. And behaviours cause deaths when we're talking about family violence. 63 women last year died in Australia as a result of family violence. Do you want to know what the leading contributor of harm, death and illness was for women aged 24 to 40 last year? Family violence. So when we think about things like cancer, and we say what a terrible burden upon society, which it is, family violence is the #1 contributor to illness, harm and death in Australia, first world country. You know, we talk about women's rights and we often look external and we say, well, what's happening in India or what's happening in other countries around the world. Think about what actually happens within Australia, and it's something that we need to do and to look at. Now, I'm always mindful when I'm talking about alcohol and other drugs, okay? Because I'm not saying for a second not to drink. Not for a second. I don't mind having a beer from time to time. Not saying that. I'm just saying that alcohol and other drugs increase interpersonal and sexual violence, increase the chances of getting things wrong, and they can cause life-changing moments, death, injuries, destroyed friendships and relationships, and shattering careers. Most, or a lot, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the things you see that go on YouTube or Facebook, people put up, it's when they've been drinking or it's when they're drunk. 10 years ago when I was starting out my career, Facebook wasn't an issue. People couldn't look you up on Facebook. People couldn't look up your name on YouTube. They do now. Employers do that now. They look at that. Once it's up there, you can't take it back. So just think about that. And think about things that you post, comments that you post, because they stay there. Won't play that one, just more time. And then, so if anything occurs, if you want to talk to someone, if you've experienced interpersonal or sexual violence, or you yourself, you realise that you've got anger issues or whatever it is, you can give 1-800-RESPECTFUL, or you can contact the Safe Community Unit, which is where I work and we work with a whole gamut of services across Monash to create the safest possible university experience and community that we can. So if you know anyone that's experiencing any difficulties, and it might not be, it's not often, this notion that you'll see someone with black eye. It's other signs. It's trying to have a conversation. It's having a controlling boyfriend. It's, text message from their boyfriend. Also occurs same-sex violence, but it also occurs, males, females and males around that, constant bombardment, wanting to know, checking up where they are on a constant basis. What we call stalking behaviour. So if you've got any questions, please give us a call. We can talk you through and we can support you in your roles. All right, so thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate it.